Hey everybody, we're going to talk today about rooster aggression. Not necessarily all rooster behavior, but just rooster aggression. There are a lot of schools of thought on this, and a lot of people think I'm full of crap. Mostly it's the very hoity-toity breeders who don't ever actually interact with their birds. They handle them, they feed them, they dust them for lice, but they don't actually observe them. And they don't care about the temperament trait. They don't care about that. They care about standard of perfection. They care about the way they look. They care about their overall health, but they don't care about their behavior. They don't care about their aggression. Then there's the other people who think that, and this includes backyard breeders and backyard people who think that, you know, if a rooster is aggressive to me, he must be tough enough to take care of his hens. Not necessarily true. They also have the mistaken idea that a rooster has to be human aggressive to be a tough rooster and take care of his hens on range. Not true. I have seen way too much to ever buy into that. Now, temperament, just like every other trait, just like the eye color, the shape, the body shape, the leg color is a heritable trait. It is inherited. I feel like it's inherited through the sire, more so than the mother. In my experience, if you breed from an easygoing, non-human aggressive rooster, you generally get more of the same. If you breed from a very human aggressive rooster, you usually get more of the same. Nothing is 100% guaranteed with an animal with a brain the size of a chicken. An animal is an animal. But genetics have a very big effect on the temperament of an animal. Case in point, AKC Dobermans my family used to breed. A very well-bred Doberman Pinscher is a decent tempered dog. Yes, they're a little standoffish. They're more family. They bond to a family or a person. They are standoffish with strangers, but they're not snappy and irritable. A puppy mill Doberman, on the other hand, can be a dangerous animal. Hatcheries, the general hatcheries, are very much akin to puppy mills. It's quantity, not quality. And that goes for their looks, that goes for their conformation, that goes for everything, pretty much. And they don't spend the time to breed for temperament. So, to me, and to most backyard flock owners, temperament's pretty important in a rooster. They don't want their rooster attacking them. They don't want to have to watch their back every time they go in the pen. I sure don't. In fact, I just had a fall, not from a rooster, but because I was chasing a hen that I wasn't really running, I was trying to get her, and she didn't want to be gotten, and she ran in the back of the barn in the roll-up door, and she stopped, and I thought she was going to let me catch her. I reached down to get her, and she scooted out of my way, and I lunged for her. I tripped over the roll-up door threshold and went down on my right side. So I injured my rib cage, my right hip. Somehow, I landed on my knee that's been hurting. Landed on that knee. I had actually hit just below my other knee. I hit a lot of stuff. So I got hurt. But it wasn't because she's being aggressive. It's because she's being cantankerous and ornery and didn't want to go in. So think about what happens if a bird is actually attacking you. Especially if he attacks you from the back and you don't see it coming. He could knock you down, especially if he hits your leg and you trip over something. And then he's got you down and he keeps attacking. That's the bird that goes to the soup pot. But I have not had an aggressive rooster, and I don't count the Belgian Danvers. They're not real their brain power is kind of limited. And I've always found that the most intelligent roosters are the ones that understand who's in charge, who brings the food and water, and who can pick up the girls, and they don't have to attack them because they know that my intention is not bad for their girls or for them. But Belgian Danvers don't even count. I mean, they're like, they're like 2 ounces. I mean, 2 ounces, 20 ounces. And if they flog you, it's like, that was a puff of air on my leg. So, you know, and actually one of my roosters doesn't even have spurs. He has the spurless gene. But a large fowl rooster can be very destructive. He can hurt you, especially if he has spurs like my Atlas, which are larger around than my finger. I had to cut them the other day. They're very large. Should have brought them out here, the ones I cut off, to show you how big those spurs are. If that went in your leg, that would be very dangerous. Especially with bacteria that's usually on those. But as far as roosters go, temperament is a heritable trait. I lucked out. The first rooster I ever had was a Barred Plymouth Rock. He was a hatchery Barred Plymouth Rock. And I bought him when my girls were about 10 months old. I bought him from a Future Farmers of America kid who advertised in the Farmers Market Bulletin here in Georgia. And I went to see him, and I shouldn't have taken him because honestly, they kept him in pen in the trees, in the woods. It was full of water. The water he was drinking out of was black. They kept him in the pen with the turkey. When I got him home, he had Favis, which is a fungal infection of the comb and wattles. He had one wall that was thickened from, I guess, an injury. He had chunks out of his comb from the turkey, fussing with the turkey. He had, actually didn't find out for a couple of days. He was in quarantine for 5 weeks, okay? So he was nowhere near my girls. He was in a dog cage with shavings in my bathroom, in my basement bathroom. I found out he had lice. He had a highway of lice on his behind. I fixed that by removing his bedding, sprinkling him heavily with DE, and putting new bedding and sprinkling that with diatomaceous earth, and that killed the lice infestation. I treated his fungal infection with I can't say it, what is the word? It's a fungal treatment for any kind of fungal infection, like of your toes or whatever. And that was fine. And I actually started feeding him proper feed. He was fed only corn. He was so yellow and gold. He was not black and white. He was black and gold. Within a month, his feathers were white again. He had gained a whole lot of weight, and he looked like a whole different bird. So, but you know what? I took a chance. He was a hatchery rooster. He was 10 months old. And the guy had brought a butterfly net and caught him in a butterfly net. And he said, oh, he'll never sit on your lap. I proved him wrong. That rooster was a good rooster. I had some sons from him, and he died. And then when my hens started dying, my hatchery hens, I decided to go for breeder stock and started getting hatching eggs from breeder stock. And I got my blue Orpington rooster Suede. Big, giant teddy bear. You don't want a 14-pound rooster attacking you. Sweet bird. I started with my Delawares. At first, I hatched some Delawares from a friend's McMurray Delawares. Horrible birds, horrible birds. They were chicks, and they were mean and flighty, and I sold them really young. And then I had a breeder contact me, and she said, I have some Delawares. I'm trying to bring the lines back because they almost were extinct. And she says, I guarantee you these will not be the same birds that you had. She was trying to get me to kind of jump on the Delaware train. And I hesitated and hesitated. I said, okay. So she sent me free eggs. Well, the girls were fine. And I picked a rooster, named him Jake. He was okay, but Jake had an issue. He was not as friendly. The girls were great. He was not quite as friendly. When he got to be 24 weeks old, he became aggressive. My husband went in one day, and Jake flew off the roost at him. He grabbed him. He told me what happened. I said, put him in the cage. We're going to process him. So there went Jake into a cage. The next day, we hung him upside down, slit his jugular with an X-Acto knife, let him bleed out, and we had chicken stew. Or as my husband liked to put it on the bag he put in the freezer, Jake stew. The breeder said, I've got another line here. So I'm sorry that happened, but I'm gonna give you some more. And so she got me some more eggs, and that's where my Isaac came from. And he was the best rooster ever. I had a lot of birds descended from Isaac. My Atlas that is 6 years old, he actually is the grandson of Isaac. I have Marvin Stukel. rock, my Marvin Stukel, Barred Plymouth Rocks. He's a breeder in Arizona. He's known for some of the finest rocks in the country. And white rocks, barred rocks. So I have them. That rooster was fine. I mean, I named him Rex. That was the original Rex. He started at 20-something weeks old. He started acting like he charged me, and I said, I just folded my arms and say, "Really, Rex?" And he'd stop and look up at me. And but he kind of, you know, rooster aggression is heritable, but there's a time when they will test your boundaries, they'll test their boundaries, and that's kind of before the hormones kick in. And when they, like 14 weeks old, even Isaac, when he was 13 or 14 weeks old, I reached down to the feeder where he was, and he turned around and bit my hand. I grabbed him up under my arm, took it in my beak, pinched his beak, I shook it, and I said, "No," in his ear. Put him down. He did it again. Did the same thing. I shouted in his ear and shook his beak, and I said, "No." And he was like horrified. His eyes got really big. Put him down, and he never did it again. Now, that was before the hormones. That was the last sort of aggression I ever saw out of Isaac. See, that was pre-hormones. That was boundary testing. If they do boundary testing before they're breeding the girls, the biting you can usually fix if they're not predisposed to human aggression. If it progresses to flogging, you have a problem. Once they start flogging, they're usually out of here. They are out of here. Now, ever since Jake, before Isaac, I have not had two-color rooster for aggression, because I bred from a very calm line of Delawares, Barred Plymouth Rocks. Then I have Hector's line. Hector was a challenge. I was not too sure what was going to happen with Hector, because I wasn't familiar with those lines. And the breeder that it came from, she crossed several lines. And when you cross lines, you don't know what you're going to get, conformation-wise or temperament-wise. Hector was very precocious. Let's put it that way. 6 weeks old, he was challenging the grown hens, and they were scared of him. But I had to teach him how to bite. He was a biter. It took me some aversion therapy to stop his biting, but then he was fine. Well, just last week, he's 4 years old. My husband reached down and pet his chest, and then Hector turned around and bit his wrist. I'm thinking, what the heck? I don't know what's up with him. He doesn't bite me. He knows he's not going to bite me. But he's just, I don't know what that's about. So there's nothing guaranteed with a rooster. He's 4 years old, so I don't know what got into him, what his problem was, and he hasn't bitten me since he was little. He's never flogged me. Usually I can tell by looking into a rooster's eyes what's going to happen as far as his temperament. But there are those times, like when I had the son of my original rooster. He was a good boy. He's a big boy. He was friendly. He was 1.5 years old. He was doing good. The hens were biting on him. And I started separating him into a little coop at night so they wouldn't pick on his comb and wattles. And he'd live at night alone, and then I put him back in the daytime. Well, after 2 weeks of this, when I went to get him and put him in a little coop for the night, I sat him down. He whirled around and bit me. And I was so shocked, because he'd never done anything like that. He was 1.5 years old now. This is way beyond the age when they first show aggression normally. Normally that happens when the hormones start. And I told my husband, I said, Dutch bit me. He bit me. He goes, "He bit you? That's not like him." Well, I kept this up a little longer, and all of a sudden he started running out. He started rushing me. And then he started flogging me. And I was about to have him take him out and put a bullet in his head. My husband was going to. I said, "Wait," and I said, "Wait a minute, just hang on. I'm going to see if somebody would like to have him, and maybe because sometimes a change in environment, because it was a late thing and it was a situational thing that started that. Sometimes a change in environment can change that, since it's not like innate with him. It was a situational thing." And I thought, well, let me advertise on this chicken farm and see if somebody would like to take him, with full disclosure of why I am rehoming him. Because he's a great rooster, true, but the aggression could continue, and I want somebody to understand that. If that doesn't happen, I'll have to put him down, because he got it in for me. He didn't do it with my husband, only with me. Well, my friend Karen, God bless her, she says, hey, look, let me come get him, because she'd had a lot of birds from me. She lives a couple hours away, and she said, let me come get him, and let me see if maybe his aggression will change when he gets here. And I'm not sure it actually ever really changed a lot. I think he flogged her or something too, but she gave him a second chance to live, and I was grateful. But that's a situation where a rooster's behavior can change due to a situation or change something happening. A friend of mine had a young rooster, a very, very easygoing cockerel. He was an older cockerel. He was, you know, not a baby or anything. He'd already been breeding hens, I think. They had a raccoon attack one night, and it was traumatic. And he survived it, but after that he literally lost his mind. I mean, really, they had to put him in a separate coop by himself. He would go crazy and actually run into walls trying to get at you. He had actually lost his mind. So predator attacks can change things when normally they would be very easygoing and nice-tempered. But generally, genetics are in control of that for the most part. There are exceptions. You can never make an all or nothing rule. This doesn't, you can't say always or never with a bird with a brain this size. But let me tell you, there are people who advocate that if you have a rooster who is flogging you or chasing you, take a broom and chase him. You know, go ahead and beat him with a cane or whatever you want to do. If he's hurting you, beat him. Make him afraid of you. There's a problem with that. There's an innate problem with doing that. The only thing you're going to do, you may make him leery of you. He'll get smarter. He'll get sneakier. Eventually, see, you haven't changed his character, though. You haven't changed who he really is. And therefore, what may happen is he may just bide his time, and one day when you've lowered your guard, he may get you. You haven't really changed the rooster at all. I prefer to have a rooster respect me rather than fear me. My roosters are not afraid of me, but they do respect me. And I know that is a human term. I get it. But as much as an animal can respect a human being, they respect my place in their life. That I am over them. I'm over their hens. They don't fear me. They don't fear what I'm going to do to their hens. They know I care for them. I can walk up to Bash. He is huge. He is huge. I can walk up to Bash. I can walk up to Atlas. I can even walk up to Hector. And I can reach down and in front of their face, and scratch their chest. And I don't get bitten. I don't get flogged. In fact, Bash really likes it. Atlas kind of is like, Mom, you know, you really shouldn't be touching me like that. You know, the girls are watching. Hector, he doesn't really want me to do it unless he's going to roost. Then he likes it. He wants me to put my arms around him. He wants, as long as I don't try to pick him up. He goes nuts. If you try to pick him up, he just doesn't like it. It's like he loses control. He wants his feet on the ground. I understand that. But he likes that. But see, I've always, even when I was wondering what was going to happen with his temperament when he was really young, even my friend and I both said his eyes are soft. He's got softness in his eyes. I don't see that hard, I'm going to get you when your back is turned, that changed when my rooster Dutch changed at a year and a half. His eyes did change entirely. My friend can tell you that. She saw it. She visited from Kentucky and she saw that. She saw him change. She said, it's a hard, angry look. It totally changed. His whole demeanor, everything about him changed in a year and a half because of that situation I had put him in. For his own good, but he didn't know that. You know, he couldn't understand that. How could he? But, so, this is the way I feel about rooster aggression. If they're doing boundary testing as a really young cockerel, I think if it's just biting, I think you can fix that. I've squelched that on quite a number of young roosters. If it progresses to flogging, I have never really been able to stop that. To me, that's over the line. And like I said, life is too short, and Okay, here's the deal. Roosters do not have to be human aggressive to be extremely good protectors of their flock. Yeah, they're going to die for it probably. There are exceptions to that too. My friend that I told you saw the change in Dutch. She had a very large blue Orpington rooster. She got hers because she loved mine so much. She got hers. He's actually almost 10 years old now. She had to let him go because of a personal situation. He lives with a friend. But he has fought foxes. One day he fought with the other roosters in the coop, fought a Rottweiler that came into the coop. He had an incident with a coyote that happened right after I left Kentucky visiting her. And that rooster, had never met me before, with no fence between us. He ate out of my hand. He was fine. He watched me cautiously because he doesn't know me, but he was fine around me. Didn't know me from Adam. But I will link a video that I did that I told the story of this extremely heart-wrenching and touching story of Lancelot and the coyote. I told it in another video. I think it's the video that says what not to expect of your rooster. We both expected a lot of Lancelot. He was something. He even one time killed a stray cat on their property. I mean, the boy was 1 in a million. But my point is, you don't expect that of your rooster, but even with all the things he went through and all the predator attacks and all the times he had lived to tell the tale and protected his hens, he still was not aggressive. And not even to me, a stranger, a total stranger. And this was a few days or a week after he'd lost a hen to that coyote. And then I came to visit. We watched for, they were trying to find the den where she was feeding pups. And the den was located when I was there that weekend. And I think just the next week was when he and the coyote finally headed out, and Miss Coyote met her end. But I'll link that up here somewhere. Okay, I don't know where it's going to be, here or there. I can never tell which is right or left where it comes on the screen. But I read that story from time to time, and it just gets me, because it is the most intelligent roosters that are going to give you the best results for protecting the hens, being easy for you to manage, and the breeding. Hatchery stock is a crapshoot. Breeder stock is, even some breeders don't pay attention to temperament. I select for temperament. If there is a rooster that is aggressive, he's going to be hung up and executed. That's the way it goes. I haven't had to do that since Jake, before Isaac, and that was a long time ago. I think that was 12, 13 years ago. It was a long time ago. Ever since then, everything came out of Atlas, everything came out of Isaac, everything's come out of Bash. Has been, as far as I know, now everybody's bought these boys. As far as I know, they've all been good. I don't know about Hector's sons. I haven't heard anything bad about Hector's sons either. Hector's not, Hector's a special case. He's not aggressive. I don't think he would ever attack me. He's just extremely high energy. And extremely, you will pay attention to me. You will pay attention to me. That's kind of like he is. He's like a big Labrador Retriever that jumps up in your face and intends for you to pay attention. But not in an aggressive way, if you know what I'm saying. So, that is my talk about rooster aggression. Breed from better stock. If you keep having aggressive roosters, don't think you're going to breed from that bad rooster to get you another rooster, because you may get the same thing as his daddy. That's what I'm saying. So I hope this helps any, and read that story. Look at that video where I read the story that my friend wrote on the forum many years ago when this happened. It's awe-inspiring. It is. We should all be so lucky to have a rooster like that. Talk to y'all later. Bye.